we did it. 4 months.
And I made it 4 months, 5 years. He says, give me 5. I gave him 5. So you women out there, it's called compromise. And you know, there was good times and bad times. But you know what? We're both the happier for it.
This is a recap of our 2023 String of Pearls, our 4-month RV trip around the United States. We have divided into 2 parts so as not to be too long. So please give us a thumbs up and be sure to make a comment. And now please enjoy our recap.
So welcome to part 2 of YOLO RV Adventure, the recap of our summer of 2023. I call it the String of Pearls trip. And part 1, if you haven't already seen it, I'm going to put the link up above so you'll be able to see that one as well.
Hey, I want to know, where's my string of pearls?
You have them. They're in the closet. They're in the safe.
He's lying.
One of the other things that we did is we also, when we were in California, we did the Reagan Library. And that was really a treat.
That was beautiful. We actually got to go see Air Force One, got to walk inside of it, got to see the helicopter. It was pretty awesome, I have to say. And I love seeing the things about Nancy Reagan and some of the clothes she wore. And I know that was controversial, but the other thing too was the love letter and the love that those two had for each other. To me, it was romance to the highest.
Yeah, we were very fortunate that I had made a phone call to somebody and we had a VIP tour and we had a great guide who stayed with us through the whole tour. And as an added benefit there, the Holocaust exhibit, which was very moving, very well done. And it was only going to be there for a short time. And I just heard the other day that it extended it for another 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, they actually had one of the cars out, and I'll tell you, just to see that cars and know that hundreds of people were, pushed into the cattle car.
The railroad car.
I will never forget it as long as I live.
We did the redwoods, redwood forest. Again, there was more of that and more sequoias. We stayed along the beach. We did the, what was the name of that forest? The where Paul Bunyan.
Oh, the mysterious
trees.
Mysterious trees, yeah. That was fun.
Mysterious or mystery trees. And that was fun. And we did a nice hike up through the tall trees. We went across some rope bridges and tree houses and so on.
Even Richard did that.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. And we did Northern California and Southern Oregon. We took about 7 or 8 days doing that, and the coastline is just breathtaking.
Yeah, you see so many rocky outcrops and the ocean smashing its waves against those and the greenery.
And then, of course, we were in the Big Sur area. We couldn't take our rig on most of the Pacific Coast Highway. Some of it we did, but most of it we just did we camped and then we detached the car and we did it by car. And in Big Sur we had lunch at a very famous restaurant on the overlooking Big Sur, and that was really nice.
Imagine sitting at a counter and you're on top of this big cliff, this big hill, and you're looking out of this vast greenery and then just nothing but ocean.
It was really interesting.
Yeah.
And as we got into Oregon, we had some little trips in some of the coastal towns all up that way in Coos Bay, and we found a covered bridge, and then we found a trail which almost ended the trip for me.
I've never heard Richard whine and complain and moan and groan all my life, but he did that day.
It was quite a ride, and we had quite a walk.
To see a waterfall.
I think it was uphill both ways. And it's a 1.5 mile each way, 3 miles, mostly downhill so far, which is the good news. Bad news is it'll be uphill the other way.
Go on down. You could be down there on the rock and look up at it.
Okay, I'll wait here.
Okay, I'm going to go down.
Are you?
Yeah, of course I am. I'm not going to go all this way and then stop.
I think it was uphill both ways, but I'm
No.
not quite sure.
No.
But it was an interesting day, and I did it and I survived.
Well, I'm finally here, the end of the trail. Whew, 3 miles, all downhill and then all uphill, but I made it alive.
The other part about Oregon, I mean, definitely if you're a fisherman, there's a lot of little bay towns. I mean, that's what it's all about, going and fishing. But for us, we're not fishing people, but it was a beautiful sight to behold anyway. But the fun part also, all of a sudden Richard's noting tsunami signs, tsunami evacuation area, tsunami, beware. And it was kind of like, you know, down in some of the areas, you know, just evacuation zones in Florida. It's just something you live with and get used to.
But I couldn't understand it. I mean, we were
Like 300
200,
feet up.
300 feet up, and there was a sign about tsunami.
It's happened before.
I guess they get up there.
Yeah.
So then, after that, we ended up in the Cascades, and we ended up in Mount Rainier.
Yep.
And the campground we were at Mount Rainier overlooked the snow-covered mountain, and it was incredible. And Virginia did some painting there.
It was so beautiful. Now, mind you, it's like 93 going to 95 degrees in the heat, and I get out there and I decide I'm going to paint. And I got a good start on it, but Mount Rainier was lovely, and I really think we could have seen it all from where we were camped.
Yeah, but we did go into the national park at Mount Rainier, and we drove around. We saw a lot of the falls. We saw a lot of the trails, and some of the important sites on the western part of Mount Rainier National Park. And then from there, we continued. Now we're basically going in an easterly direction, and we ended up in Glacier, North Dakota, at Glacier National Park.
And you know the highlight for that for me is I got a bottle of glacier water from a waterfall.
Yeah, we'll show that a piece of that clip. Challenged herself to cross this road and get into this water and get the bottle.
So what you got?
I have some glacier water, and the guy said it's pure. And I'll tell you, you know how much I hate cold and being wet in water, and I did it for that. And believe me, anybody that knows me knows I hate the cold, and getting wet on top of it is not my thing to do.
And Glacier National Park was very interesting.
Beautiful.
We took the Red Bus tour, which we highly recommend. I had been to the park before on my motorcycle, and it's very, very difficult because the road is so narrow and treacherous and curvy that you have to watch the road. So taking this well done guided tour was terrific.
And our tour guide was awesome.
Frame view of Heaven's Peak. If anybody wants to get a picture, I'm gonna slowly.
He was fun, and he took pictures of all of us on the Red Bus. If you go there, definitely take the Red Bus, even if you want to drive it the next day, which we did.
Yeah, we went from the other side. We did the east side, and then we drove up and we did the west side. And it's really two different viewpoints in two different parks.
Yeah, I really suggest doing it both.
After Glacier National Park, we headed east. We went to Hingham, Montana, which was a nothing. Spent some time in Fort Peck, and then we ended up in Medora. And Medora, North Dakota is very interesting. It's just after the Badlands. The Medora pitchfork dinner, ribeye that's prepared in a pot of hot peanut oil, and it was really interesting.
What do you got?
It was followed by a country western show. The town of Medora was very quaint, a real western kind of town, and also it's going to be the future home of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, and Theodore Roosevelt National Park is there as well.
And then the next part of the trip for the next week, a week and a half, was kind of uneventful. We got hit a little bit with some weather and some rain and some clouds. We wanted to go to the Upper Peninsula, and we were in Houghton. We wanted to go to Copper Bay, and to East Bay Light and so on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. However, the weather just didn't cooperate, and it was so foggy. I mean, we started twice to drive it and just
You
had
could
to turn around and
not
come
see
back.
a mile ahead of you.
A mile. I couldn't
It
see the
was
ornament
dense.
on my hood of my car. But we did stop at a Harvest Host, it was the Red Trail Vineyards, and that night they were having a special thing, and they had a steak dinner.
They
So
had
we-
this once a month.
Yeah, and we happened to hit it right, and it was steak and potatoes and a glass of wine for $14.95.
And it was pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But you know what was the most fun is we got to sit with all of the people that lived in the area, farmers, and talking about their farms and the crops and what have you. It was a lot of fun, very interesting.
And interesting to note that these farmers weren't old McDonald. These farmers are very wealthy individuals, and farming is a huge, huge business and takes a lot of capital and a lot of work.
Born there, lived there, have no plans to move from there.
And then we continued across Wisconsin and to Duluth, Minnesota, saw some little towns. We came upon a very interesting city campground, which happened to be right on the water. It was a first come, first serve. We drove in, you pick your own site. We happened to get a great site, and that was Kayla Park.
And that was all unplanned. We had not planned to do that, and because we left the foggy area, and we decided to push it on. And I wish we'd had another day or two. It was that pretty.
And then we crossed from the Upper Peninsula. We got into the Great Lakes. We went over the very famous Mackinac Bridge, or Mackinac Bridge, but it's Mackinac. They call it the Mac. And we ended up in Petoskey on the southern part of Lake Michigan, adjacent to Lake Huron. And my daughter, Julie and Michael, and two of their three children came up and spent the weekend with us. So that was really fun.
Petoskey never disappoints. The day that they were there, or I guess 2 days, the weather was good, just cool enough at night to have a good campfire. And again, awesome steaks and family and fun, and I really hated to see them go.
Yeah.
All right, and we put up our last sticker for Wisconsin.
And then we continued south and decided to make an unexpected stop in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I wanted to go to the President Ford Library, which is in Grand Rapids, but then I remembered a high school friend of mine who was a very close friend of mine in high school, Leon Gregorian, lived in Grand Rapids, and we contacted them, and we ended up spending a wonderful afternoon with them. We were going to have dinner, but his wife is a musician. She's a violist, and she had a rehearsal because it was Symphony Week in Midland, and they couldn't have dinner with us. But that was a pleasant stay.
And he was a great, conductor, composer?
He was a conductor, and he composed, but he was mostly a conductor and a concert pianist.
Some high school friend, huh?
Oh yeah, he conducted the Owensboro Symphony Orchestra for 10 or 12 years. He conducted the Midland Symphony Orchestra, and he had 35 years. He was 35, almost 40 years, a professor of music at Michigan State. And after Grand Rapids, when we were visiting with Leon, we mentioned Andy Polimenis was the third musketeer of our three kids in high school, and so we made a unplanned stop outside of Cincinnati to visit with Andreas Polimenis and his wife Lee. And Andy was a singer.
Opera singer.
Opera singer. Very, very accomplished opera singer, as well as he was a professor of voice at Bowling Green University for 38 or 37 years. He retired, and then a year later, Indiana University asked him to teach there, and he taught there for 17 years. So he had two very, very good careers teaching voice.
Okay, I want to know, these are two of your best friends. You're the Three Musketeers. How come you're the only one that didn't get so musical? You make that a career?
Well, I did get musical.
No, not as a
Have
career.
you ever heard me sing New York, New York?
That's it.
We were all involved in music and so on, but I didn't choose it a career, and I went the business route, and that was good for me. And then after Cincinnati, or South Lebanon, we went to Columbus. And Columbus, Ohio is where my other daughter lives, Cindy and her family, Michael and Sarah. And it was quite a weekend because it was Sarah's 17th birthday.
Talk about a bonus time. Not only her 17th birthday, but also her homecoming week.
It was homecoming, and we got to meet a lot of her friends. We had a lot to eat, and Michael always finds the great places to eat. And it was a wonderful 3 or 4 days that we spent in Columbus.
And Cindy made this awesome charcuterie. Did I pronounce that?
Charcuterie.
Yeah, it was a look of art. I was so happy and pleased with it. It was gorgeous.
So then we continued south, and we went to Ida, Alabama. And nobody would know where Ida, Alabama is except one of our YouTube colleagues, the RV Odd Squad, has a campground there called Thunder Canyon. And so we visited with Mercedes and John at Thunder Canyon, and we had been there a little more than 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, and that was the famous "We Got Stuck in the Mud," and I'll put that video up above that you can link that and see how we got stuck in the mud. And this was before they bought the camp. We had gone up just to give them some advice and have another set of eyes looking at it. They've been very successful. They developed the camp, and it's a private camp. It's membership only, and it is just one of the nicest campgrounds you ever want to go to in terms of beauty and aesthetics.
And it's one of those places where you can go and it takes you back to what you would think camping's all about. You sit by the campfire at night and you talk to all of your fellow campers, and you have little dinner get-togethers and ice cream socials. And what I love, there's some pretty significant hiking around Thunder Canyon, and got to paint there a little bit, down in a little secluded spot. And they do have a bear who says that it's more of afraid of you than you are of it, but that grunting was a little nerve-wracking from time to time. But it's probably one of those places I would love to go back just as a retreat.
And we then continued south, and we ended up in just outside of Montgomery, Alabama, which is our most favorite campground. We've been there 3 times, called Gunter Hill. It's an Army Corps of Engineers campground, and Virginia started painting a picture there 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, I guess it's almost been. And she keeps going back to finish it and finish it. She spent a couple of days there trying to get it finished.
And it's one of those things, you know, that you just keep working on, and then, but you know, I wouldn't take any of it back. I love the experience, and it was almost one of those little tears in the eyes as we left and we took our last picture over our shoulders with the lake in the background.
Yeah, it's Army Corps of Engineers is favorite for us. We've on this trip we stayed at 3 or 4 of them. Then we continued further down from Alabama into Georgia, another Army Corps of Engineers campground, which is called East Bay Camp, and it is another fabulous place on a lake, very much like what's behind us, because that's where we're filming this.
And they also have a little hiking trail, and it's not very big. It's just enough for those people like me who like to get out and explore and get your feet on the ground. It was fun.
And then we had one more stop in Lake Louisa, Florida, which is a Florida state park. Again, another beautiful campground on the water.
Very green, very
and
luscious.
Then we headed home on a Monday afternoon after a long trip, and I thought it was wonderful. And then the unloading, and as you may or may not know, we have decided that we are done RVing. Virginia gave me 5 years.
I promised him, and I kept my promise.
And the 5 years is up. It is a fabulous unit. I'm so happy I bought it. It's the second Tiffin that I bought. It's a 2018, and I'm putting it on RV Trader. And if anybody is interested, I'd be happy to sell it to you. And I can tell you, you're going to get a wonderful, wonderful coach.
And I have you to know, from the woman's perspective, that Tiffin bought him 3 more years.
It's a wonderful unit. It has not broken down. Nothing major has happened. A couple of screws here and there, but other than that, it's been a wonderful trip, and it drives like a dream.
Very carefree. It's a nice RV camper as they go, and off to new adventures for us.
So we hope you've enjoyed the videos that we've done. Some of them were okay, some of them were great, and some were we tried to share as much of our experience with you that we possibly could. The next adventure is going to be in February. We're going to be taking a cruise to Brazil and Argentina. We'll be there in Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay. We'll be in Rio for Lent, the end of Lent on Fat Tuesday, and the Mardi Gras celebrations and so on. And one of the things that Virginia's looking forward to.
Going up and down the Amazon River. As you can tell, I'm more of the nature type, adventurer type gal.
So YOLO RV Adventure is now going to transition into YOLO Adventure. And we hope you'll stay with us and do our adventures on our cruising. And coming up in January of 2025, we're going to be doing a world cruise, a 5-month cruise. We're starting in Tokyo and we're going east, and we'll end up in New York 5 months later.
The northern hemisphere.
Going
of
through the
world.
Suez Canal,
Yes.
and we're going to see Egypt and the pyramids and Jordan and Petra and the Grecian islands and India and Sri Lanka and Turkey, Italy, Spain, France.
You can tell he's just a little bit excited about it, right?
That trip is already all planned out, and we hope you join us for that. And then the following year, we're taking another world cruise, leaving from Miami, going through the Panama Canal, and doing the South Pacific and the Sunday Islands of Fiji and Bali and Australia and New Zealand, and ending up in Singapore. So thank you very much for being with us. We hope you enjoyed these videos. Please give us a thumbs up every time you review one of our videos. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, and please make a comment. We like to read your comments. We like to hear what you have to say, the good, the bad, whatever you want, criticism. I answer all the comments, and they're very important to us as well, as far as the YouTube algorithm is concerned.
And hopefully in our future adventures, you'll find a place that you might want to go to someday. That's part of why we're doing it.
Yeah. So if you have a question about any place that we've been, or any place you think that we might have been and have a question, you ask that and I'll try to help you. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the seas.
Are we done yet?
We're done.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Look for us in the next video.